Assalamu alaikum, Zimungrano Ketunko. Thank you so much for joining us today on this lovely Sunday. Tasu Chimungla time ubaso or Tasu Zimung program Gore Lagyae. Now, firstly, before anything else, I would like to comment on the weather. Like Khamo Samra Rawande, like Khashabam the Hernan Kolak Baran Kadi Pokadesi Tasu Munka join Kaway Lagyae. Nanba Munga inshallah Tasla guest travel. Before that, the co-host Matara de Aspandiat.
Assalamualaikum, tolu salamun wema, zaman katunko, gran katunko, mashirano odiko. Dumra kha mausam hina chisinga we waqi, Canada lihaz sare mausam ro hakiki. Among they're excited to bahar bya zamanga barbecues or dahar se rawani. Hopefully ay paribar se tikim shi delta or bya zamanga barbecue grills lagi dili singa chi dade ze culture de. Or har se bakhavi. Or hina nin sok zamanga guest de so.
Today, no, again, Munga Tasla, their special guest Ravastida, same very much in line with the agenda of our program. Munga Tasla, this is guest travel, Chikam the norm, like different career paths, choose career. Chikam today, no, like a Munga Aga Chino, Chikam the Munga families generally used to each Yaba lawyer, Yaba doctory, Yaba engineer, Yaba Dain, Munga Kodaha Koshish Karedas Yatter, Simung, this is guest travel, Chikam you unique career paths and by that mean by those means munga chinanam the mungastan waqim daga shandiki dear different career path pursue with regards to startups. Of course, Asfandiar, why don't you do a better job of introducing our
بالکل هنا تاسو خبرم سیدا دا یو ډیر ینګ انډیویډوال چې کوم خپل کیریر کې کافي تیزی سره روانه ده او څنګه چې موږ خپل انټروډکشن کې ویلو چې ګورنمنت سېکټرز کې د کار کړی دی لیک ډیر پرایویټ کې کړی دی traveling ولا شوق دی obviously چې شو ته راځي موږ به نه تاسو نه ډیټیل کې کو but she comes from a quite academic family background too. The questions موږ غوښنه لیکل تاسو کو but let's not hold موږ welcome کو خپل شو ته Shandana. Assalamu alaikum Shandana. Singay taso.
Assalamu alaikum Asnarin Hina. 𝐏𝐿 tasto Singay. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Alhamdulillah, thank you for joining us and taking the time to come on our show today and tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Of course.
बिल्कुल Shandana. Munga अक्सर शिकम दे munga कोशिश को चे दाशन तक खलक रावलू चिकम a certain middle age पर रसीदली यार yes munga accomplish जर ज़्यादा रखो पतासी और दासी individual वाई चे देर young age के मुंग तो लगे दर चे वाकई दाजिना तीजी से रवाना दमक के और academically आगे ना इलावा चिकम voluntarily तासो शौक थे और I believe traveling हम तासो शौक थे no I do feel you've balanced everything pretty much no dare पावली के बमुंगा लिख दे questions को मख के I start more playing a role they can play and we'll go with the flow. Hina, why don't you take over the questions or slowly the post coach like a Shandana days put single resid la what's the guidance for you today?
Bilkul dear Ramadana Shandana Zamunga Abalane question Tana Daichi. Like firstly tell us a bit more about your career path that you've chosen. You've been working a lot with startups, like IT startups, I believe. Obviously you can shed light on your educational background that allows you to play that role and help those people out. Or then we can go back.
Yeah, why don't we? Yeah.
How did you get where you are today? But why don't you start with a bit of introduction about your current work and what you do and
For sure. So Nozachide us DoorDash ke Karkoma as a launch operations specialist. Recently as a graduate Shirema from the University of Waterloo, ma political science or business study karede, along with international relations and international studies as well. And the co-op program kivema. So through the co-op program, Zachide the startups, government, public sector jobs such as banking, ahutazaiki I put through introduce Shirema. So my first co-op, for example, RBC ke makara, today napasta as a government tamtalevema, and then I got introduced to the startup life. Startup sama shock aginapasa alta shurusho.
Now startup the larisanga like what captured your attention or so drogre.
So you know what, Zama actually is a very intentfully mahpal internships choose ko because university ke makana. Zama program political science and business so no Zama avalne co-op ma RBC ko. So I was like tick business side Zama usho. Kana Second ko biamawe zo us political science taraf ta sa koma chizma mata better idea shi chiz a future ke kol sa wara mazma like experience ya to shi no second ke chide ma actively bia government positions ta apply kol chiz a government job no ke danna ke dleshama and then second ke zama bia cabinet and premier office ke ma job ko and then again government and tick shokana. So then third, I was like, dreams is the coalition come to Dwar in a different tea. And Zamanga Waterloo, they had a lot of companies come to the startups of like job no.
IT related.
IT related. Well, like one, they're very culturally a lot of the environment in startups is youthful, and the way come to the tarike sare aguchde akhbalzan present ki youth especially is very enticing. So much kala posting am kato I was like, oh dakho sam maza lagi kana je job khana lagi dakho lagi maze ba ko munga like kharaku na free di lunch na catered di and as a university student ta gai gore so then biya to the I through my startup ke zama dream apply ko, and then that's when I realized that in my startup did enjoy koma personally, right? My public ko, government ko, startups ko, between the three I was like what do I like, what do I don't like? I kind of figured that out, and through that my future decisions
basically very strategic. You're absolutely right. So you hit up on everything to see Khazama's days at a shop there. And it is kind of living up to the expectations that I have. It is actually the truest of them all. No? And then that's very good. So it was the environment that drew you there initially, and then the work that kept you going. Aswandya, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, my question that like I know tasu mentioned kuruchi cabinet office kim tasu kar karo. Zamunga aksar community ki munga chikala government job khabar raunu Pakistani usually thinking chair. Your government level ki job ki. Why was something chitasu aga approach no? And then I believe you worked in banking industry too. Best startups ki like artificial intelligence. I think you worked a bit in that, right? No, why is it something? Was this not something chitasu corner pressure bochina bas government job kawa politically involved like a dashanta reputable like a government position si singamunga result shaligu. Core taraf na se pressure tasta no ya pressure no.
I think no, Zma more that's they've never put pressure on me for anything. This enjoy kawa because you're gonna be doing that for the rest of your life. Right? Chita enjoy ka na So that's been the main giveaway from my parents, and as well as being very independent raised, whether it's decisions whether it's traveling call and certain things as well, right? I remember 16 kalo and masinga a 16 on my 16th birthday. Zarar driver's license azma more mal kana kala school case more mal bus ticket in case tana school bus mishi bus ke wapas raza. Rather than mungta folun na kay chamala school na pinka, right? Independently, like pakpala bas keza. So I think because of that, I had the confidence to zakpal decisions university kim pakpala agastleshama mata pata that come decisions alama agama bante baby aikana. So that's why it was very intentful. And with government and banking as well, there were certain things I realized could come to them. Maduman na enjoy call. For example, government everything is very slow, right? As a co-op student, zalta sir salor miyash tema. No, kam kar koma. I like to see the impact of it. Whereas government ki kaluna lagi aga impact ka talla tala. Salor miyash dalta vimam the projects I was working on they got delayed yobal kal. So I was like that tol kar chima salor miyash te ko laga waste show. Right? And then banking as well. Banking I actually really enjoyed, but banking is same thing. A lot of the work I was doing, project life cycles, because I was in the project team. So I mean, life cycles, it's usually 4 to 6 months. So they're still very, it's not as fast and impactful as I would want it to be. As a startups introduced Shlama, startup Flippo. Flip is like a digital flyer app. Nuari kisu ay mama yoras ba sakaro ko kana balaras ba app bante live bo. So mabasum ko I used to see it instantly in real time. No, that madi para like motivating or de chase so ma actually use kigi ligyade awagam instantly dana yo kalpas ya do kalpas ya shpag miashte pas. And then environment too, like the government yeah banking kivema. majority of my coworkers told like wow the shiru but you maybe sister like 50 plus who did one of the funny stories one of the funny stories actually college ma RBC joined kara hoka na zama told like directors managers they were all I think 40 plus 50 plus so no zama avalne introduction meeting cho zama manager kamo aga director of the RBC ke no aga meeting he can ask and he's like Shandana if you don't mind can you tell us what year you were born and as soon as I said the year I was born, two executives like jaws dropped because I would told them like bilkul young like
Obviously, like the munga backtrack paku, zamunga viewers.
Before you go, sorry, Akbandiyar, I just wanted to touch upon a couple of things that were very important that stood out. Like one was explain, and of course we will go back to that with the role of the family in it. Like impactful today that explain ko. The role of the family, more bamatavi chiza kucherta bus that tikutuna zansila kena kucherta school bus miskin khpala larabu bole. Whereas that is such an important thing to come the munga aksar community na realize ke ya khabawi chi wai wale late fee or bus the sanga misko ya davis you instead of taking that route which is very very like a, you know a helicopter mom si wata ya wai ya the munga da like a micromanaging everything like this was a you know like hands off kind of a trust factor affair like a khatik shu sa kusakar ma chi yase shi relation basana khpala dara gora like mashallah not only to the growth aspect of an individual and the independence aspect but also the trust aspect chikam makilar shinu bandala our exploration work kai yo daga ma note kar sa khabara dira zyata bal daga tilaka to say chi and for your career path that you chose, you were looking for something more like intense and more like a, you know, impactful and more dynamic in all of that. Whereas people generally do take like the personalities depend. Okay, obviously they vary. Some people are happy in government, but easy like and which is completely fair and fine. It's a personality thing, whereas you took the path and there wasn't much like it was more encouragement based. So please, I just wanted to emphasize those points.
अक्सर viewers जमुंगा दात सासो पाकिस्तान के कम ज़ेना ताल्लुक थे अक्सर खालक दाता पूछ की जमुंगा viewers अवले question जी कम ज़ेना है पाकिस्तान के
Pakistan ke chade pehor na largely but zama plar chade zede taraf na de and zama more Aptabad taraf na da.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, mungam che saso the ko I think you come from Zeda Sawabai and macha sumra legdil pata da che nikam staso I was an educational director then your dad was involved in provincial services or your professional career. So I do feel che maybe the academics have been going on. Namung de parday or khoshali khabari. And how old were you when you came to Canada? Or were you born here?
زه پیدا شوې دلته نه یم خو زه چې راغلی یم زه تقریبا 3 کالو یم سو زما ټول سکولینګ دلته یې شوی دی
نو زموږ خو اکثر دلته یو دا ایشو وي چې ډېر وړوکي راشي نو بیا موږ ته اکثر پښتو ویلو مسلوي تاسو دا څنګه هولډ کړو
You know, I think زما کور کې زه چې ما چې سکول شروع کړو که نه ما به انګلیش کور کې وی زما رونو خویندو سره زما مور پلار سره ما به انګلیش وی and zama ror او zama plar strict rule khadala kor ke che English bai sok na bai pukhto bawai to the point where kala ma ba kata bazwe ma au ma ba English ne kana bar nazma ror chaga baragla Shandana pukhto
tumra like a very daga khabara kana si tumra like speaking with you or such mashallah sanga pukhto da it's such a proud moment to say like a connection aga daga or bia rustam daga munga pe daga khushali ko daga munga bia rusta realize kigi why don't you tell us a bit more about like the journey to get you where you were today? It's like put a background a little bit more on that aspect.
For sure. High school na actually shuru kam story, right? Then high school kita you're figuring out chata sakol ware like university ke kam program la baze tata isni pata har se nevi. So in high school zama like there's a lot of career paths so kam ma change kriyo. In the beginning, I was a like nurse joregam bacho de para. Then I wanted to do midwife, you know, and then I used to do DECA school ki like business yo after school programu. No DECA bamako and it's all business based. And ki machika to I was very effortlessly zat khave mader aike. Like maba try ko bamna I was my results baratal. So when I went into university, mata directly exactly no pata za sakol wara makana, but sisa shizuna mata patawa the nukol waram for the rest of my life. Example like doctor jorada. I was like zakpal tera kala jwan school ke na waste right? Or like even a vet or a nurse jorada. Like it's a lot of schooling. So and then business came naturally to me as well. So through that deduction, ma today danta programs the apply welcome business related to and Waterloo program thou it was arts and business. So sta avalnekal generalo, whereas they explore different sectors. For example, the political science courses wale, the legal studies courses wale, the sociology danta courses avastleshe. And then second year you get to pick your major while also maintaining the business aspect of it because business altide, like it's political science and business, right? So first year kid, then I went in, took political science courses, nor courses in Maristel. And I realized political science was the one that I really enjoyed and I wanted to do. And it was very intriguing to me. So I napasta as a political science route through that as well. And it was one I was good at too, right? I think a lot of times like courses subjects because of pressure, because even those marks but like but look at what naturally comes good to you, right? Because what comes naturally, the excel kaiba.
بالکل څومره ضروری خبره exactly that is absolutely it. Oh, so I guess the political science that it's still shock پیدا شو, you wanted, that's why you went into the government sector of things.
Well, I did, yes.
Why don't
and then I think she went to Norway as well.
I was just going to say, tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so Zama like traveling there shock which is a university that's Ireland actually. Then high school ke khuzabia mari ke vem tasta schoolie there. University that's Ireland zama bia traveling shock there. Oma avalni first year ke maqbal avalne solo trip karao. Mga pura family Pakistan tataliu and maqbal more parte mai ziawaze travel kol warama. You know ma jwant ke kalanandi kri samulk tatal waram kim ke it chalan page na ma baqbala zaba navigate ko ma harsa. And ahupre eventually is Turkey tabar Turkey ki mayo hafta awaze tera kla biagina pastas Ireland tamrar. And then when I came back, you know, do you have the travel bug? Yoza chit the travel ki bia the yoze ki na pati ke deshi. Yeah. So then aina pasta bia zamgo university ke chide they offered international exchanges where the university de para yo semester bar tleshe. So I actually went to my advisor and I was like, so I ended up doing a semester in Norway. Salor miashte diltan Norway tararlam alta residence ke pati kedlama university malta kola. While I was there, I traveled a lot as well. So again, you know, I think it was the confidence my parents had, the trust they had as well. And also the confidence they gave me through that as a virtue where I there's a, you know, my solo travels there. It was a Marguro Sarem Ireland, like Switzerland. I went to Denmark, you know, Portugal, a lot of places around there as well.
So how many countries have you traveled, Chandana, so far?
So my goal in life is to my age de kana agina zyat countries to travel koma. But you know, like also the yokal hold.
So maybe I think we need to bring her back when she's 60 if we're alive. That tapos kuch uste samara countries travel kari thi.
So far I would say I think around 24 countries.
Okay. A lot of times when we think of traveling, we think of kharcha or bas garze dil. Is there something that you grasp when you're traveling or you learn something when you're traveling?
100%. A lot of like 10 countries I traveled when I was in Norway because Europe is so close, right? This is like weekend laba school bag bas kapde ba ligwa chole school bag ke bahaf weekend larar lama. So one, Europe ke flights in general are cheap, no kharcha tata bachi. That's why their advantage as the local as in Norway kema because for example, my yo flight Italy na Spain pore $13 Canadian, right? Wow. One way. Like exactly. This is a downtown train alam dena zyad kharcha lagi.
So what was something that you learned, like studying different cultures? Do you see different people? Career ki tasla growth ki, personality ki growth ki, what would we say? Why would you encourage someone to travel?
So when I was traveling, back to the budget question as well, ma hostel ke bazapati kedlama. So because of that kharche sta dumani as a student, I think if you're 40 and under, like hostels are you can stay in hostels, but a lot of the age group there is in the 20s, right? So you're paying like $20 a night, maybe $30, depending on where you're going. And with that, you get to meet so many young people who, again, are traveling either for fun or traveling because they're in a country for exchange as well. So you get to learn a lot from them. For example, der khalko sa dasa mila sham kam zama eju aw guchde shpag myashto na yo bag ke bas travel ko ligyaw. Aw mga university graduate kla aw yo kal mga gap pagas to aw was yo bag ke mga bas pura juan da chol de khpal aw traveling ko ligyaw. Right? So through their experiences, you learn so much. And then I think also a lot of communication skills come from that too, right? The way you learn to interact with different types of people. Some are different khalko sa milavigi, agayom resta communication styles yat robust ki ligay ka na, because har kas sarita communication sta differently. For example, ta sa tarike sa khabara ko, maybe with my coworkers it's different. Zama more plar sa differently, right? A stranger on the road, it's different. So aga like skills and little tactics to pick up ke. And also learning like stories, right? There's so many experiences you have that you learn from. When you're traveling solo, I would say I would 100% recommend to solo travel.
Traveling is quite interesting. There's that munga obviously is like zamunga viewers baguri do khasar garzedali khabare ki. Why don't we come back to the topic of academics or career growth, tasu chikamu personality growth. Parents role play ki or parents role play kol pakar di sasu pa khayal chandana.
I think, as I mentioned earlier, zama parents hamesha mungla badikwal na they're independent loy kredi kana. They've given us the trust, and in return munga mahula trust kredi bya. So my relationship with my mom, my dad currently, it's more of like friends than it is like zama more plar di kana. Chiza marguru sarem bar zam zakhpal more tavem chimunga sokla like gapuna zala go makhpal more say. So it's very casual of a relationship, and I think that's helped me. Devajna mata pata da chikala zamana sa galti mushi kana zakhpal more plar tavelesham, and they're not going to be like vale deoklal. They'll be like, okay, dina munga singawatleshu. And I think from a young age I've had that, right, where confidence they've given me a lot of empowerment, I think I would say as well, right? There's not many people like Pukhtana culture ke kam akhpal luro la traveling la yawazi pridi or university bar kolla yawazi pridi. Just bar Norway taziyo semester university kolla and things like that. So I think a lot of that empowerment has come from my parents. Through various things that when I look back at now, mata pata lagi chi aga small incidents chide malasuma confidence rakriyo. Like I mentioned, the bus ticket rakol kana. Even kalache zavari kivem like mala driving Vilnius razi mala license agastalla botal or G2 agastalla botal, things like that. I think a lot of these small incidents, the build up of those aga yaukasla chide kana der confidence raki bachola. And I think a lot of parents need to start doing that rather than being parents to their kids.
Delta aksar zamunga community ki dar razi kana che alekan byam der open vi bahar radshi ko zamunga community aksar jina kya ne der reserved prati vi chagumna more plar sar khabar ne share koli shi kaga academic vi kaga life ki te der jat issues razi hamesha khabar band pat satli. What would you say about that? Like the your lur plar more plar sara or plar saram just the more bano ema singa interaction ki dil pakar di plar sara singa ki dil pakar di staff de bare kisse laka khayal mein.
I think deke like the onus of this is on the parents. Like more plar la bache che de shuruat na bhi they're open bani but more plar sare kana because the gure chesta more plar reaction certain chizuno sare singai. So vertical na chi zama more plar, for example, masare district book zama relationship padase uina zama more plar sare. So zama more plar vertical ni dasi ukana no zama relationship ahusare as I got older jat open up show. So I think main step to the dish is more plar la agastali first because sta bache chide kana aga tata guri otane is the kai. So if your parents are like that, then tabam in return tabam ahula gai rakai kana.
So if your parents take pretty much.
Yeah. But I think starting from the parents.
Okay, moving on. Career wise, yeah, tasu jikam field de ki tasu encourage kawai bachi mak ke suk di field ke rashi.
100%. I think tech IT startups, it's they're like booming business there, right? Come companies ने tech की दीम ना like RBC and government अहू data तरफ तरवान दी कोशिश के लिए गया दी. They're trying to go towards the tech route and make themselves more agile. So I think there's no, in the future I don't see any business come के चदे like tech or data बनी. So it's a skill I think that's very important to have, and it's a career come kalabam. It's not going away anytime soon.
In addition to that, volunteerism taso se kawai taso community to give back ya Pakistan khas kar tumgo roots to Pakistan na galdi. Are you looking to give back something to community? Achartas taso mind ke da sheraji ji as Pakistan de paraso ukama akhpal khalq de paraso ukama.
Yeah, so I I did a fundraiser for a water well in Pakistan. So I try to do like small charities. I help out with Truman Foundation as well. That's such a day last week. I think I would showcase so Truman Foundation, like content writing, para, things like that as well. On a larger scale, so I'd be open to any opportunities as well.
I will actually add something to this, which is quite interesting. Mississauga ke kam awalne street iftar show. It was actually Shandana who got that and approved from government of Mississauga. Kam kichi ba local MPs ragaliu, and we did a street iftar actually, and she was the main brains behind it and approval from. So I think
the thing that stemmed that for me was for example ma der like Islamophobia ma der Mississauga ke kato kama makhki bilkul no katale. So I was like, Roje Razi Zama Street ke nim na zyad khalaq Musalmanan dina, let's show them what Ramadan is. So mala har kurta like pakhpala bazitlama, I had to get their permission, munga street iftari plan ko taso kedeshi street end ke lig awazi taso approval rakawai ana. Had like 80% of the street had to agree. Then we had food sponsors, so Kandahar Kebab sponsor karo, Boston Pizza sponsor karo. There's another local business in Mississauga that does party rentals, a room sponsor karo event. And then Ikra Khalid Raghalewa, and we gave the azan on the street with the microphone. Otol Angrezan Raghalewa hu makhbal azan na pasta hu ro jamaat klam sari.
Like
which is very interesting, right?
Talk about taking an initiative and talk about creating an impact, mashallah, and talk about giving back. Like I think this is like one of the epitome of it all. To say to like a darashanda ki yo मतलब बड़ा मैं खबर अपनी बताऊँ कि दागा में change कवल गुफ्तल का ना बखाल को perspectives में change कवल गुफ्तल का माशाल्लाह का
देखिए वैसे यो story 𝐏𝐚𝐭 𝐿𝐿 दी माते वेलेवा चिदा यो कोर तलेवा होगी study with interested name ना
दरवाजा बस बंद रखला माता
दरवाजा बंद रखला और अगर कसु चिकम रोजी मात तसिंग उश्व का ना अगर बे पखपल रागे and he actually I'll let you continue Shandana.
Yeah, so he actually kala mga safi ko la end ki har se wrap up still, he came up to me and he was like, I'm so sorry, right? He's like mata no pata ta da kai li gaya mata masta mukh bante like darwaza band rakla, and he's like, I really enjoyed this so much, so thank you so much for doing this. And he apologized for what he'd done earlier, and I was like, chida yow kasam like is that little, it's all worth it, right?
Like, I think we should bring that back actually. Like that like a regular basis by shuru ko ta idea that like nan yo street no sababa pura city.
او هنا تاسو دا سوچو کې کنه چې هغه کس یو ایمیج کې دي شي جوړ شو ظاهر خبر د میډیا زموږ څخه خبرې کوي and we changed that کنه street والا خو راغلیو او هغه نه علاوه ک تاسو یو دا سوچ چینج کې چې واقعي دا خلک دومره بد نه دي کغه مسلمان دي کغه پښتانه دي یو پرسپیکټیو چینج کول زما په خیال دا ټول نه لوي خبرې او کې ټایم لګي کنه زموږ اکثر چې موږ تاسو دروازه بند کې موږ کې برداشت هغه شانته نشته دي کنه
بالکل
موږ چې او دې ما په دروازه بند کړل زما چرته ناراضه ما but I think هغه وی کنه هنا هغه بالکل وی کنه ان الله مع الصابرین indeed Allah is with those who are patient. نو که تاسو لیک پیشنټ شي هغه کس بیا تاسو ته افطاری کې اند کې راغی وای چې نه یار he actually appreciated it. نو دا وړي کې شوزونه زما خیال چې کوم موږ لایف کې اډ کو ډیفرنسز راځي هنا لما نورسيدي شي داشن تا ستاسو شنانا
Basically, I just wanted to bring Shandana's perspective into this, and then obviously, like being respective of time as well for everybody. Namava sizuna highlight the wall. Hopefully, my Shandana bamratuichi with regards to like the role of parents. Chikam de der ziyat kha uichi like agakpal relationship apakpala joda hui waro sara, and it doesn't matter if a day and age ki kujinela ko alagte. Like your trust factor is what's going to build them for them to come back to you. You sumra pa kaya divide joda hui sumra pe restriction kawai no aga. Is that correct, Chandana? Was that your perspective?
100%, yeah.
Yo, Daubal, the other thing was like Aswandya khabar azar rato like the travels na khumar me that like the travel. The whole point of the travel is like what did you gain from that? Like a side experience, just tell us a little bit more about that. Like that traveling, mashallah, dumroko. Nari khota dawu like communication skills that gather. Any other things that you could say to that experience or add because there was different situation there. For except parents are very discouraging or afraid to like a way sanga bazi yawazi jinay balazi ya dasi bazi. No, what could you change for people's perspectives there?
I think that as well, right? Tahi confidence rashi. Like zacham avaliza latlama mata khona pata zasako ma neve mulk tazam khalak na page na ma jibam zina page na ma Turkey ke mata no pata kam khalak Norway ke mata no pata is jiba. So you get the confidence zan ke ta the confidence rashi. You know what? I can do this. Mala zma more plan las hamesha nisalo zorat nishte ya aguna consult kolo zorat nishte chikala zbul mulkim zma ki khpel confidence stage is da pakhpala kole shama. For example, the chikala Germany ke mein mana khpel batwaro kashla zma tol pese harsa mana rokshla, right? So instead of going into panic mode of so koma like I makhpel more the message ko mana kho batwaro kashla tol pese radal credit cards debit card ID harsa Ozma Muram, instead of saying, oh, data single batwa singa roka kla duma irresponsibly, she was like, oh, okay, the 𝐏𝐿𝐴 sta location today, ta sare usuma PCD, the sabapore survive Polish sababa munga tata, PC ba only go through Western Union. Right? So even those small experiences, instead of mala like Jose Kol data single ta yawaze careful kedal pakaru, they were like, okay, dadi sabapore batata oligo, and then continue your travels.
Like basically cultivating that relationship with your children, like so important, and then leading by example. Like instead of instructing them or imposing upon them, just lead by examples and let them step into your shoes and let them be enveloped by your love.
Yeah, and the thing is, Chizama more time panic was double panic shivim. Right? So by seeing like my parents be calm, bia zoom mem oh isne ki batwaro kashla wapas credit cards joshi debit cards joshi.
Like a different perspectives that bilkul again the other point would be giving back to the community, like what an impactful thing. And I honestly think we should bring that back and have more volunteers step up to say like a street of Tark and like going forward.
One thing I think that Hina that really adds up even as a friend circle. I noticed last iftari chimga kade wakala street ke او کې نیم نه زیات ټول د دې خپل ملګری زما خاص د دې سر کې خپل ملګریو چې کوم راغلی او هیلپ کړو په خپل کرسیان چاوړلې چاهل کول ما چې کتن ما د دې ملګری دي دا ټول کنه نو having a good friend circle I think is very important as well. او یو بل شي چې کوم ماته ډیر انټرېسټینګ لګیدو چې هر یو ملګری چې کوم د دې وغه ټول د دې مور پلار پیژندل. Now having an open relationship, whether it's a guy or a girl, your parents know about your friends and they're friends with your friends.
Exactly. Like that's about cultivating the relationship. Again, like what an amazing interview and great examples. Any parting words, Shandana? Sorry.
Yo, Shib, as the last kita post kom Shandana. Do you have any future goals? Makhkita sakul wade community di bara ke zan de bara. Walni she like insan with self accomplishment ya makhkita so goals. You la ko taso zama par us stages kiye. And I believe stasu awesome zaka tasu kafi impactful decisions you kadi di DoorDash ke chikam manga avridiliu. Why don't you talk about that and what's your future goals?
So my future goals shidikana, I'm still Zma usi recently graduated shirema. I'm still figuring everything out, right? But every day is a step closer and I figure out kolota. And I think right now I'm enjoying what I'm doing, realizing the impact I'm making at work, and seeing what bigger impact I can make as well. And one of my future goals I would say is MBA is a mother shock there. kana. But everyone I've talked to in the tech world, hui tala MBA zorati nishte chita tech ke kar kai kana. They say 1 year in tech is 5 years in like government or banking. Chita yau ka sumar environment, startup environment kiz da kole she ta aga pinza kalo ke ba nor zeono kiz da kai. So there's a lot of learning and growth opportunities, and I think that's what I want to grasp at. And then once I have a grasp at that, I would have a better realization of what my future holds for me. But I think my future for now is startup industry kida in the tech realm day, and then increasing my tech skills as well, because Zama program chikam day, it's not a technical program. Political science and business, like tech skills, it's not like computer science or engineering, coding. So I've had to learn those myself, right? And being in those environments, I motivate there. So when I was in one of my co-ops, startups, my data analytics certification, because I wanted to learn how to code and make dashboards and the data instead of ghente lago magastalo ke 15 minuto ke singa agasteshama. So taking those steps towards where I see my future going, I think is what I'm currently doing right now. And then larike is the goal is a goal long term.
Brilliant. Like I just take it as it goes. I don't have to have a 10-year goal plan, see what I'm drawn towards, but I know.
Yeah, I think a lot of times like pressure darashi kana chista pinza kala goals de, and I'm like mata nishte pata, right? Sta las kala goals de, las kala khunura mata nishte pata. But the thing is, if you figure everything out, at the end of the day, the harsa jide kana yo mash pas kedleshi like dileshi khota harsa like the puzzle pieces told yo zekishi eventually. And then in hindsight, you realize suma perfectly aligned, right? Certain decisions like they're start pura juan kharab sho chizama dashe pinza kala makhkishla. But then when you look back, you're like that opportunity
bilkul perspectives kana chikam sanga tarike sara te ushita kate positive mindset ale kuna. No, dear Ziato, like a very informative, very encouraging, like a very positive interview. It was such a pleasure having you on the show. And again, like youth indeed, like a dumra vada umar ke dumra ka.
Rina, last but not least, viewers, it's a very happy moment when you're interviewing your sister on the camera. No, for me, definitely as a brother too, right? It's a very proud moment. Shandana Dumra achievements academic week. Dear Shuzna Didi, come Kadim di, she didn't speak about it. Mungsare time Dumra nishtede. But it's a very happy moment, especially Dumra young age ke rashi. The guidance whether it's as a brother or as a parent. Means ma pakhal chikam de khabaro klela. Or Zumga Jina Kota Dirzat issues del Tarajama Pakhal. Is is khabar openly motlasara Nakolishi, Yarigi Dirzat. Now, I do feel chicken more player like their openness or tasu akpel bachola pakpela break the chara financial decisions ke academic decisions आप अखपला वाखला नो है कि सिर्फ दाना च तासु माशूम बखपला इज दकी but अगर trust माशूम तासु माने build शी चाहो जमा मोर प्लान मामा ने दुमा यकीन करे दे and knowing Shandan
basically like independence
independence
and also I think to know just more plan but that in retaliation sabad banawi kan galat decision male they'll still support you on that.
Main thing is guidance, right? Again, I love seeing with the puzzles pakpala jurshi. As you go, kaniyat sahi vi ya khudai khabunga buch khudai pakpala lare ba judi ki. But first thing is having the right intentions and having that positivity and giving something back to the world. Dunya ko tol ugati khuda da chi community tamunga wapas sumaraku munga khpal roots na chikam zena ragalu chikam like mustahik dir khalak dashan da di utamga sa koli shu sana. No mung de para da dir zyat like yo proud khabar hai da chi yo mashum chikam del ta luya shave da onin like the startups ki kar ki communities तरह की अक्पल जब अक्पल culture अगर hold करे देखा ना और उसम चीज़ें कल शंदाना से लगा खबर है कि she's very happy to go back to Pakistan she was at वाणमा but so जला दमुंग दामासर जगड़ों की तो वाली न बोझे का ना I want to go toward the northern areas no da the mulk mina like दादी के रागले da I believe parents they did we roli and all these different aspects so religious I know she reads more books Islamic than me. So no dada che dayo she did khabarevi چې دا
بالکل
راځي.
لکه ماشاءالله what positive examples to set forth basically کنه چې لکه کوشش دا کوي زموږ په کمیونټي ته دا میسج خپل کور کې environment چې خپل بچو لپاره لکه خاصاتي positive ساتي encouraging ساتي ځکه چې هغه ډیر زیات impact یو چې بیا هغه کور کې ماحول خې نو تاسو به خوشاله تاسو خپل لایف خې. No, that would definitely be our message to the community. Again, like thank you so much for taking the time.
شننه تاسو ته موږ ډیر زیات مننه کوو دغه شانته چې څومره جنکیانې زموږ کمیونټي کې چې دی چا څه کړي دي چا څه کول غواړي موږ او دې بار دعا کوو موږ فخر کوو چې کوم زموږ د ملک زموږ د کمیونټي جنکۍ دي کې الیکان دي الیکان ته ډیر اپورچونټیز ملاوي شي خو جنکیانې اکثر موږ او باندې دمر پراودلی یاوله اپورچونټیز راکول نه یریګو but again we as a Canadian Pakistani community موږ ډیر کوشش کو په دې باندې فخر کو چې تاسو دې پوزیشنز ته رسیدلی یې.
And I'm actually very proud to say چې ماشاءالله زموږ چې کوم close community circle چې کوم موږ families پیژنو at least can I obviously I cannot comment on the extensive one for هغه کې ماشاءالله they have really emphasized and they really do encourage and condone that kind of positive or the
او هنا دغه موږ د پاره یو خوشحالي خبره ده کنه چې as a community کاناډا کې موږ فرست کې سیکنډ جنریشن دومره دلته اوس کمیونټي نه راغلی ده and that's what we're working on چې پټ لاړو ولټو یو کمیونټي ډیولپ یو ښه میسج ورسو.
بالکل and mashallah I'd say چې زموږ چې کوم موږ چې څومره families community کې پیژنو زموږ چې کوم تل راتله والا دي هغه ډیر ښه positive او دا this type environments promote کړي دي خپل کورونو کې. So I'm very proud to say and I hope everybody at an extensive level from our community would do the same and encourage kind of you have to kind of blend in with the world today.
بالکل هینا شندانه دغه پروګرام اوس په انکو شندانه تاسو ډیر زیات مننه دغه سمور پلار چې کوم خپل پیرنټس لا دغه کې او لمونګه او ته سلامونه پېښ کو خپل چې تاسو خپل بچي دغه شانتي گایډ کوي او زمونږ کمیونټي ګرو کوي کغه زمونږ کلچر ته هیلپ کی کغه زمونږ کمیونټي ته هیلپ کی کغه کاناډا ته هیلپ کی پاکستان ته کی چاته تاسو د وجه نه هیلپ وشي هغه موږ د بار ډیر لوی خبره ده نو موږ ویاړ کو په دې باندې چې داشن ته مور پلار شته زموږ کمیونټي کې او داشن ته خلک شته دي. نو with that we'll wrap up او ان شاء الله دغه شو کې تاسو سره به بل پټ لاړو next time راځو او ټول ته سلام
وایم. ما ته یو idea راغله I'm like actually we should have a show where we have throwbacks of highlights of moments where we have had all these like a put la luna and maybe we can just do a throwback show.
بالکل
to highlight to among dada guests too I think that's
بالکل دا خدا او یو بل خبره ده هر میاشت نه پټ لار را روان دي نو هغه مونږ لټو کوشش کې لګیدلو کې تاسو سو پیژنې ډیفینیټلی مونږ ته وای او دغه سره به نه مونږ already ډیر خبرې کافي کور کو. thank you so much ان شاء الله next time به ملایو خپل خیال ساتئ نه شاندان زموږ ټول کتونکو والو تاسو ډیر زیات مننه تاسو زموږ شو کتو خپل ډیر زیات خیال ساتئ کورونو کې سمجھ را روان دي انجوای کوي ډیر زیات فیملی کې بچي وی کې کور والا وی کمیونټي وی هر چاته فونو کوي تاسو کوي او څنګه نه دي د سچويشن کې او دغه مینا محبت سره اوسېږي او ان شاء الله تاسو سره next time به ملایو. الله پامان.
الله پامان.